So hello again, SEJ students. It's been a while. I hope you've enjoyed your Easter holidays, and that means now that it's more or less Tuesday, it's time to get back to work. Um, I am going to go over some of the material that I posted some 2 weeks back at this point, and we'll start with the beginning of Unit 7 on page 57. So here they mentioned something about graffiti, and they have they mention that it can sometimes lighten up everyday life. And so it says, where in public might you read the signs 1 through 12, match them with the graffiti written on them, A through L. Which did you find the funniest? So I want to go over the answers just to confirm those and then have a brief comment. So the first one's done for us. It says, keep death off the roads, drive on the pavement. Kind of humorous. I think this is actually, I think, dangerous in Serbia because there's enough of that already, especially parking all over the sidewalk on Boulevard Oslobođenja. Second one, parking area to be matches with I or not to be. I have to say this is my favorite. I know it's an easy pun, but, it's Shakespeare, and if you can find Shakespeare graffiti, then, I'm going to give him credit for that. Number 3, these toilets will be closed on Monday. That matches with L. Please do as much as you can today. I know it's funny we go from Shakespeare humor to toilet humor, but I kind of like this one second most. So I think that pair takes us from the heights of graffiti humor to the bowels of graffiti humor, if you will. Number 4, fly British Airways, breakfast in London, lunch in New York, matches with J, luggage in Nairobi. If you are in trouble by plane, this might make some sense for you. Number 5, don't drink and drive, matches with F, you'll spill it. There you go. Not a big fan of this one. Number 6, I think it dominionizes a major problem. Number 6, have you seen the Tower of London? The match here is K, please return to Lost and Found. Too easy, a little bit silly. Number 7, this door is alarmed. B, don't startle it any further. I think that's kind of funny. You see warnings everywhere. It's a smart play on that. Number 8, no smoking. A, unless you're on fire. It's kind of funny. In America, no smoking signs are everywhere. That's less of a problem here in Serbia, so I think this joke would go over better over there. Number 9, beware of the dog. C, the cat's not terribly trustworthy either. Of course, no cats are terribly trustworthy, so I approve of this message. Number 10, passengers are requested not to cross the lines. D, it takes hours to untangle them afterwards. This is right up there amongst my favorites as well, because we're told so often to stay in line, starting from early childhood education, through our careers and our education at many points. So I think it's nice to make a little bit of a joke on that account. Number 11, headache. Nothing acts faster than Onodin. The match is G, so take nothing instead. I kind of have to agree with that most of the time. Suck it up is a phrase that we use and just deal with it and survive the pain. But of course, it's migraine. You're probably going to take something. Number 12, say no to graffiti. The only one left is E, sign a partition. That's pretty funny if you get the joke. So they also have some examples of works by the graffiti artist, and here we go away from words and we look at images, and it says, what point do you think he's trying to make with them? Which do you find the most amusing and why? I think that, we've probably heard of Banksy, and there's actually a really good documentary that was done a few years back on him and some of his plays on artwork. I think it's Exit Through the Gift Shop. Yeah, Exit Through the Gift Shop is the name of that, so if you like what you see here, you can check it out there. He's kind of famous for bringing up, war and peace kind of situations, especially where there are ethnic or cultural clashes. So I think that's what's going on in the Palestine one, that the peace bringers are often, no matter what side you're on, when they extend an olive branch, you become a target. So pointing out the I think inherent nature of the conflict that and the lack of willingness to forgive. on both sides. I think that the most obvious one is the large image here, where you see a worker sitting on the corner with his paint. And I think it's kind of self-reflective. I think he's kind of mocking himself a little bit here, but also reminding people that these kind of works, and normal people are the ones who create images and put these buildings together and are often ignored. And I think artists often get some of that. We have the famous starving artist comment, and I think this might fit in well with that. And I think 2008, both of these, whether in Los Angeles and London, are playing particular elements. I actually really like the 2008 one. And this was after the economic crisis, so of 2007, and a lot of money was being stripped from the arts. And so you have this early painting that is a reproduction of some kind of cave art in early human times from the, you know, Neolithic, Paleolithic times. And you have this person spray painting over it. And I think this is him trying to emphasize the defunding of a lot of cultural institutions at this time when money was scarce. And so, what are we doing with our culture? What are we doing with the arts? We are painting over them with no respect for what has come before it, and deprioritizing arts in favor of other things like military, which he hinted at earlier. And then finally, we have the one with the police one. I think it's pretty funny because that the dog he's holding is actually, there's a famous artist, and I can't remember the name right now, but it's Jeff something, and it's a short last name. And he's famous for this kind of work right here. And it seems like the authorities are holding art hostage. So like holding it back because it's dangerous or could bite. But it's kind of playing both sides, both what could art be attacking and the holding back of it. So it's kind of a clever play on authority versus art. So that move, that's kind of, this whole unit is called Lighten Up, and the next unit focuses on both happiness, not the next unit, but the next pages that were issued focus both on happiness and unhappiness, and that's the reading on page 58. So we have this question right up front, and it says, what changes would you most like to make in your life in order to be happier? What do you think are the most common causes of unhappiness? So this was a chance to post reflections on this, and your assignment was more or less taken from this. So, I think that I'm not sure the most common causes of unhappiness. I think that's very individual and subjective to each person. So I think, one of the things that's lacking, or that I find that I can at least comment on in the way society has changed in my lifetime, is that I think people are more disconnected than ever. I think that our I might not say addiction, but maybe our obsession or our dependence on gadgets, screens, social media is left many of us lacking in human experience. And I think that's where empathy and sympathy comes from. And I think that those are important, not only for happiness, but also for connectedness and a sense of well-being and understanding and tolerance, which I think also lead to a more content and respectful populace. When it comes to personal happiness and what would I do different, personally, I think that I would just wish I had more time in a day. I think if I had 48 hours a day, I'd be able to sleep enough, rest enough, think enough, and get stuff done. But there are only 24 hours in a day, so I feel like a lot of the time I have projects on my mind and I simply can't get as much done as I would like to. And then it leads to self-criticism. And I wish I could be more productive and more efficient with my time, but I just get tired or I don't have time. But if I could maybe get a little more organized and devote a little bit more time to prioritizing these various projects and manage them a little bit better, I think I would be a little bit more content with, my levels of productivity. So number 2, we kind of skip over. We'll go to 3. It says, read the text. Which sections talk about, 1, having a negative view of your own performance? So the answer here would be section 1, concentrating on the good things in your life right now. This would be section 3 and sections 5 as well. Section 5, rather. Number 3, benefiting from difficult experiences. This would be section 6, which is titled Life Isn't Meant to Be Easy. Number 4, speaking going on in your mind. This match would be section 5 and only section 5. Number 5, making your body feel better. That would be section 7, although it's not really a section so much as just a phrase. And finally, 6, imagining the future. This would be also section 5. So some of these have match with more than one, and then some sections match more than one of these. Number 4 was a challenge to use your own words here, and then number 5 was to find their words. So we'll start with number 4 here. It says, use the prompts to summarize each section of the text. So you might say, I'm just going to kind of improvise here. We could write these out as well. Self-criticism is useful, but when it's constant, you can lose track of your own human qualities. So number 2, let's see. Often we compare others with ourselves and think that might be in a better situation, but this can be deceptive because inside they may be feeling the same as we are. So number 3, the pressures of capitalism can lead to unrealistic expectations, which can leave us dissatisfied and lacking a true picture of the real world. Number 4, if you're meaning to do something and it's on your to-do list and it's going to be nagging for you, then you might go about making life changes sooner rather than later so that you have less time to regret and more time to learn. Number 5, it's important to be aware of the past and to look forward to the future, but one can never forget the present. Looking around you and being aware of everything in the moment can lead to a higher level of mindfulness, which can eliminate the chatter of the future and the past. And finally, number 6, if we moan about our problems all the time, that's a bit natural, but we simply have to accept that life is difficult and it's a natural part of existence. And if we do so, then we'll be able to embrace some of those challenges as opportunities to overcome. So that's just one way of going about that. Number 5 is more specific. We have to find words or phrases in the text which mean these exact things. So number 1, keep talking about your weaknesses or faults. This is to go on and on about your feelings. Number 2, admit that you recognize something is true. This is to acknowledge that. Number 3, view behavior in a hard and unforgiving way. This is to judge harshly, especially in relation to yourself in this context. Number 4, not what they seem to be. This is deceptive. Number 5, give a high opinion of you enthusiastically, to sing your praises. Number 6, constantly demanding that you have to do something. Nagging. Nagging is kind of, I don't think there's a perfect definition for this, but it works in this context. To nag is also to bother or to constantly demand attention or to cause you distress. Number 7, a responsibility that weighs heavily on you. That is a burden. Number 8, worrying about a decision for a long time, agonizing over. It doesn't have to be a decision. You can agonize over other things as well. It comes from in agony. So number 9, like pain can be agonizing, like dental work, for example. Number 9, feel better after a bad experience. This is to get over, so you feel better, but you survive at least. And number 10, complain about things in an annoying way. We often say, here it says moan, and we often say, and number 1 says go on and on about your feelings. We want to say they're like moaning on, and that's even worse than going on and on. So when it comes to which advice in the text you agree with, and why, this is an opportunity for reflection. Your job was to think of what other advice you would give to people to make their lives happier. So this is kind of where your assignment comes in, and some of you already turned that in. I've begun reading those assignments, so I'm looking forward to more of your assignments, and just please make sure to get them in before our class this week. So we've had a bit of delay with the Easter weekends, and I hope that has given you plenty of time to put 100% into the assignment. So there's some other interesting questions here. If we were in class, we would explore them. We don't always have time for all of them, but I encourage you to think about them. We'll go, for the sake of efficiency, we'll go to the last page here. This is page 64, the last word. And really here we are supposed to try to figure this out. And then if we couldn't, then to listen. So basically, hopefully you figured out these expressions. I think some of them are more useful than others, but we're going to go through them. And I will kind of read the listening off, and then we'll have all of the answers. So here you go. Number one, the bank won't lend me any more money. I wish I never started my own business. B, cheer up. I'm sure it will work out all right in the end. Number two, if I'd only ever asked Lucy out, she said no, and it's really awkward. If only I never asked Lucy out, she said no, and it's really awkward working with her now. Response, you'll soon get over it, and at least you tried. You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And there's the idiom. Number three, I don't think I'm ever going to make it as an actor. I failed another audition this morning. It's not the end of the world. Hang on in there and stay positive. Hang in there, being the idiom. Number four, I can't believe what I've done. I sent an email moaning about my boss to her by mistake. And the response, don't dwell on it. What's done is done, and it'll all be forgotten in a few days. Nothing really idiomatic here, just straightforward. Number five, I just had the plaster taken off my leg, and now I've broken one of my fingers. And then the response, keep your chin up. Someday you look back on all this and laugh. So keep your chin up being the more idiomatic of the expressions. Number six, we'll have to be a bit more careful. We spent most of that lottery money already. And the response, oh, well, easy come, easy go. It was good while it lasted. Easy come, easy go, being the more idiomatic expression here, being a very relaxed way of looking at things. Number seven, I'm so disappointed I didn't get the contract for that stadium. They've given it to another firm of architects. And then you have the answer, you can't win them all, and you could always get a job with the other firm. If you can't beat them, join them. And that's kind of a cliche, not too interesting, but it's there. And number eight, it was horrific going out of the European Cup on a goal scored in the last few seconds. And then the response, it's not all doom and gloom, though. That would be the idiom. There's still the league title. Perhaps it's for the best. If they focus on that now, it might turn out, and here's another idiom, to be a blessing in disguise. So it also asks on this page what expressions are most similar to these expressions in your language. So you are the experts on Serbian much more than I. So if you have some of those expressions, you can post them. You don't have to. If we were in class, then I'd ask if you were familiar with any of these expressions. For me, the idioms are often one of the most interesting elements of language. Sometimes between two languages or more, you can have the exact same expression, and sometimes you can have an extremely different expression, and I think that's one of the most intriguing things. So we'll continue to push forward with this unit a little bit in the coming week. We'll have some new material coming on Thursday, so look out for that. I'll post this video so that it's available tonight or tomorrow. Today is Monday, tomorrow Tuesday. So you'll have a few days if you haven't completed assignment. So once again, to reiterate your assignment, you want to think of 3 things that would make yourself or others happier. 2 of them should come from your own personal recommendations, and 1 should come from an outside source that you've done a bit of research on, or that you'll do a bit of research on if you haven't looked into it yet. So good luck finishing your assignments. Stay safe and healthy, and like I said, we'll have more material coming soon, and we'll continue forward in this way with our current semester. Goodbye.